Chapter 17. There's nothing in the world exactly like walking right up to the head of a raptor clan. It doesn't feel like it's you doing it. The idea is so crazy, you figure it's gotta be someone else who's actually moving to challenge the predator. You're just watching from somewhere else, somewhere safe. Only you're the one who's being watched. Back in Enid, I had faced the biggest, baddest defensive line in the county on the Temple Hills Lions football field, but then I had my whole team backing me. I'd been listening for some sign that the iguanodons were coming with me. It didn't seem like they'd budged. All of a sudden, my plan didn't sound so great. Better plans came into my head. But it was too late. I couldn't go back. I heard scurrying sounds on either side of me. Raptors coming in from my left and right flanks, while the leader held me with its cold black stare. My finger went to the trigger. I wished I'd had both stunners, but the other one had been fried when I'd used it to open the safe house door. I spun to my right and hit the trigger as that raptor jumped at me. The barrel fired up, and the shock made the animal spring back. The other one landed on my back, digging its claws into my protective jacket. I aimed the stunner back over my head and nailed the predator before we hit the ground. I rolled and came up with the stunner still in my hand. 2 blockers down. The lead raptor stared at me, amazed. My hand was already in my pocket. I slipped the release mechanism on the side of the canister and lobbed it right at good old Big Red and Ugly. A cloud of tear gas exploded in Red Rings' face. It yipped and jumped back, its cry of pain and surprise creating a panic among the other raptors. I ran right for the pack leader. A couple of the closest soldiers closed rank around it. Another gas canister scattered them. A gray cloud was forming around the raptors. I saw shapes darting around me, and I stunned 2 more raptors. My eyes were starting to sting. I couldn't keep this up for long. The gas had been made to mess up dinosaurs, but it didn't help human beings much either. A raptor came out of nowhere and kicked at my side with the sickle claw of its right foot. I heard a rip and felt a sharp sting as the impact spun me around and I fell. I landed on my back, and another raptor pounced on me. The stunner was wedged between us, its red-hot barrels less than an inch from my face. I couldn't take out the raptor without frying myself. The raptor's claws tore into the pads of my jacket, leaving deep gashes. I thought of the sash I'd used to hold the oversized jacket together. If it was slashed, the jacket would fall open and I'd be dead. I shoved with all my weight, pushing at the raptor as it bit and caught on the barrels of the stunner. I smelled his breath as I shoved one last time and hit the trigger. It was a short blast. The raptor was flung back, broken teeth flying, and sparks hit my face, burning me. I was back up, looking for the pack leader, trying to get my bearings. I looked to the valley and saw the iguanodon herd stampeding. In the other direction! I'd thought they'd see the raptors as vulnerable and join my fight, but I'd thought wrong. Maybe that was what human beings would have done. But these were not humans. They were frightened animals. At least a dozen raptors raced after the fleeing plant-eaters. I ran back down the slope, knowing there was no chance I could reach the iguanodons before the crazed bunch of predators attacked them. My only hope was that I could even the odds and help to keep Iggy and the generator he carried safe. Suddenly, the raptor leader sprang in front of me. It hissed and growled so loudly that I hit the trigger of the stunner before it was even in range. Nothing happened. It jumped at me and I swung the stunner at it. I missed. It was on me, driving me back to the ground, claws raking across the helmet I wore. One of its claws caught in the face grid, and it wailed as it tried to free itself. I yelled as the sharp claw sliced back and forth centimeters above my eyes. My head was yanked back and forth, and I thought my neck was going to break. Then the raptor freed itself, ripping the faceplate loose. "Ah!" I hollered, jumping back and away from the predator. It came again, and I struck out with the stunner. The weapon connected, and one final charge ripped along its barrels. Crackling white-hot energy hit the raptor, and it went down. The other raptors stopped before they reached me. They looked at their leader, who lay still at my feet. I grabbed another canister, primed it, and lobbed it at the startled predators. It exploded and they scattered. As the cloud of gas drifted my way, I saw something on the ground. The raptor's sickle claw, broken clean off. I grabbed it and headed down the valley. I had wanted to break the alpha male's hold on the pack and create chaos so the iguanodons could escape. I'd half succeeded. Only a couple of the iguanodons had reached the top of the opposing rise before the raptors reached them. The rest were battling the predators, who tore and slashed and had already brought down 2 of the larger dinosaurs. By the time I got there, another had fallen. I lobbed canisters of tear gas and picked off what raptors I could. Soon, most of the iguanodon herd had reached the top of the rise, abandoning the wounded. All but 3 of the raptors ran down to feast on the fallen. The others tried to startle the larger animals and find the smallest and most vulnerable, thinning the herd. That meant Iggy. I saw him near a huge tree. The bigger iguanodons who had been protecting him were nowhere in sight. I had the terrible feeling that they had been among the fallen. 2 of the raptors were closing on Iggy. I couldn't understand at first why he wasn't running. I thought he was just afraid. Then I saw that the nylon cord I'd used to secure the generator to his back had been snagged on a low, heavy branch. The generator itself looked as if it had been hit with a sledgehammer. Metal and wire streamed from a cavity in its center, and some kind of fuel leaked out of a shattered cell at its core. I stopped. The two raptors racing toward Iggy didn't. They didn't understand that the reason I had done all this had been destroyed. They couldn't understand the ice running through me at the thought that I had failed. They wouldn't have cared if they did. The animal part of my brain told me to run. Just run. Run as far and as fast as I could and hope nothing caught me. Run for the rest of my life with this moment at my back. A memory flashed into my head. Ben caught in the harness, hanging from the tree, battered, broken, trying to smile, trying to reassure me, even though he must have sensed it was over for him, that his injuries were fatal. There was nothing I could do. Not then. My hand went to my pocket. I dug out another canister, primed it, and lobbed it in Iggy's direction. Then something slammed into me from behind and brought me down. The third raptor. Its claws dug into the padding on my back and sides. It grabbed at my arms and raked its claws on the helmet I wore with the sickening sound of nails on a chalkboard, only worse. It slashed again, and I felt something give around my chest. The sash! It had torn open the sash. The dinosaur dug its claws into the padding, and I dropped the stunner and dragged myself ahead, my arms dangling at my sides. The raptor yanked the jacket right off me. I got up, grabbed a rock, and threw it at the confused animal. It ran off, its claws still stuck in the jacket. Then I heard a mournful wail. Iggy. I stumbled into the cloud of gas. Shapes blurred past me as my eyes teared up. I saw Iggy frantically struggling. The raptor claw was in my hand, and I sawed at the nylon cord. It frayed and broke, letting him run free, the shattered remains of the generator dropping to the ground. I fell against the tree, heard screeches from below, and saw a branch I could grab. I climbed until I knew I was well out of reach of the remaining raptors. Safe for now, I put my hands over my stinging eyes and waited for the sounds of the battle below to finally end.